breaks my heart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call the Lamar City Council regular meeting for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Goodchild.
Yes.
Wick.
Yes.
Sturgeon.
Here.
Bruns.
Here.
Pick.
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to B, general discussion. Citizens. Any citizens here to address the council? Don't think so. All right, moving on to Thumbs Up Award. Start to my right. Brad, Thumbs Up Award.
Two things for me. First, the recognition that the Browns Theater received from Senator Ernst earlier this week, or last week, whatever it was. And also a thumbs up to all of the high school musicians that earned all state recognition at the auditions, and they'll be in Ames here in the next few days for their concert. So that's a great achievement for all of those young people and their teachers.
All right. Brian.
I don't think I have anything today.
Clark?
I'm good, thanks.
I'd like to give a thumbs up to, first of all, the citizens of Lamar's for turning out to vote. That was quite a voter turnout, and congratulations to Lamar's Community School on their bond issue. I think that's a big win for our community. And then also a thumbs up award to Stacy Feldman, our county auditor, for the election that they ran. Lots of turnout, lots of votes to count, and my understanding went very, very smoothly. So that was what I had.
I'm going to echo Brad's Browns Theater Award that they received this past week. That was awesome to see, national recognition like that. And then to the Friends of the Public Library. They had an appreciation dinner last night that I got to attend. And just to see the cross-section of people who volunteer a whole lot of time to make that a substantial part of the library itself. And then a small introduction to their new digs that they're going to be going into right next to Habitué on Main Street, which is going to be a very nice addition for them and their collections that they have.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say that about the Friends of the Library as well. I was at that event, and those folks do some good work. It was a really nice event. And the other one is to Rich Sattel. I had a friend of mine approached and said he came into City Hall, and Rich followed him back to his house and checked out his pipes for him, and he was just pleased with the department head himself doing that. And this afternoon, I think he or someone from his office is doing another one. So all you got to do is call these people; they'll show up.
Great. Okay. Moving on to consent items. Under the consent items, we have an approval of the November 5, 2024 regular meeting minutes, a list of bills for period ending 11/15/24, monthly financial statement for October 2024, renewal of liquor license for Four Brothers, Willow Creek Bar and Grill, Pizza Hut, Blue Tequila, annual street finance report, which will require a roll call, TIF indebtedness certification, annual urban renewal report, request to close the street by Ameriprise Financial, and Wentz Town and Country edition, which will require a resolution and roll call.
Is that a Ameriprise request similar to what we did a year ago?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, this would be, I think, the third time,
Yeah,
Third?
we've done it a couple times.
Okay.
same area.
Yep. Then I would make a suggestion. We take all of these consent items with vote on 5 and 8.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Resolutions 2451 and 2452 then?
But I would like a little clarification on one thing. I knew I had it, but on the TIF Centennial Hall for $150,000, what's that?
Purchase of that building.
Oh, that's just the purchase back, that's what it was?
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't 100% sure on that. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on those items? We have a motion and a second. We'll go to roll call, please.
Bruns,
Yes.
Sturgeon,
Yes.
Pick,
Yes.
Goodchild,
Yes.
Wick.
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving to action items, D1, property casualty insurance. The renewal dates for both our property casualty insurance policies are December 1st, 2024. Staff has met with Matt Suzamel to review the policies. Matt Suzamel will be at the meeting to give an overview. Administration recommends continuing to insure with Iowa Community Assurance Pool for property and casualty insurance. The deductible amount can be discussed further. Current budget can cover the increased costs with no changes. Any increases in deductible will be an overall cost savings. Renewal with a $20,000 deductible is $544,133, which is a 51.92% increase. Renewal with a $100,000 deductible is $484,686, which is a 35% increase.
Afternoon, everybody. Thank you. Like I said, I met with Joe and Jason a couple weeks ago. Here to discuss the property and casualty renewal. That first page of the document, we'll just kind of go through it line item by line item. Left-hand column is the expiring premium, and the right-hand column is the renewal. The casualty portion of it, general liability limit of $5 million. That's based off of $2 million of underlying and a $3 million umbrella. It's based off of operational budgets, which this year was about $16.55 million. That line item is a 0.41% increase. The auto liability limit below that, again, a $5 million limit based off of 83 vehicles, no change in rating there. It's a 5.74% increase. Public officials wrongful acts, again, $5 million limit, same exposure, 5.81% increase. Law enforcement liability, again, $5 million limit. Based off of 16 officers and 2 dogs, we have about a 5% increase there, or $437 overall. The auto FISDAM, $2,500 deductibles on both comp and collision. The total insured value went up a little bit this year, about $139,000 in values. The increase there, you're going to see at 53.19%. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with real tangible property in this hard insurance market, whether it's vehicles, buildings, or anything, you're going to see an increase, kind of foreshadowing the property that we'll discuss here in a little bit. Below that, airport liability, again, a $5 million limit. No change really there, a $50 increase. Total casualty premium, when you add all that up, expiring just shy of $120,000, renewal of $134,000, which is a 12.79% increase. The backside, property, upper left, as Rob described a little bit there, currently you guys sit at a $20,000 deductible. The total insured value expiring is just shy of about $154 million. The renewal, we're looking at about $170 million, which is about a 10.93% increase. That simply is just based off of cost of goods, inflation, what it takes to rebuild these buildings to try and keep up the values in today's market. Below that, inland marine, which it equates to equipment, property, things like that can move around. You have about $5 million of property there, which is a $718,000 increase, or 16.46% based on the expiring to renewal. Crime, really no change there. Boiler machinery, really no change there either. Total property premium, expiring just shy of $239,000. The renewal offer, just a little bit over $409,000, which is a 71.5% increase. When you add the casualty and the property together, that is where that 51.92% is coming into play. Below that, I did include the work comp, just for comparison's sake. So if you see that first red line there with the ICAP and IMWCA, if you combine those, you're looking at a 23% increase in totality between the the major components of your guys' package there. Below that, in the green, is the deductible options. The less premium, $17,000 for a $50,000 deductible, and then for a $100,000 deductible, it'd be just shy of $60,000 of savings based off that $409,000 figure in the green there. We did, or I did approach some other markets that are players in this arena, just to see if there's anything else out there that's more economical for the city. Those main players include EMC, Cincinnati, Travelers, and Chubb. 3 of the 4 declined straight out just because of density, or just the total insurance value was too high. Chubb can provide some forms, but their program is limited to about $50 million of total insured value. And then you guys would have to purchase an excess policy on top of that to cover the total insured value of 175. And by the time you add all of that together, you're going to be spending more than where you're at now. So the discussion here, I guess, would be either to stay at a $20,000 deductible or increase it to a $50,000 or $100,000 deductible based off those figures.
So like I wrote up in there, I think, what was the number, 600,000, Joe, did you say? Current budget has enough to cover it.
Yes.
The increase. So I guess our thought would be just to keep it as it is. The big player, and Matt put that in there, and he just described it, was those numbers in green, where we could play and reduce the cost a little bit by increasing deductible on property. But like I said, my recommendation would be to leave it as it is with the 20,000.
So you all who don't sell insurance understand the deductible options are per occurrence. So if it's a hailstorm that hits the whole city, it's one deductible. If it's a tornado, same kind of thing. But if it's I don't know.
6 fender benders.
Yeah, fender benders are per occurrence.
What if the hail comes in the tornado?
Per occurrence.
It's wind
I think
hail.
one night, I think we could do it, so.
I know the increase, this doesn't, take that sting away from the increase, but just for what it's worth, the city of Lamar's right now is at a 24 cent per $100 rate. I mean, so if you take that $170 million and you divide it by the premium, that pencils out to 24 cents per 100. That is the lowest in the ICAP program across the entire state compared to other ICAP members. I know it's a significant increase, but you're still, even with the increase, at the lowest per $100 rate, across the entire ICAP program. And that's just due to performance and things like that.
In the past fiscal year, how many times did we use, when we were required to kick in a deductible on a claim?
This last year, 0.
0?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is probably a tough question, but for budgeting purposes next year, I mean, do you think these insurance rates are going to continue to climb, or do you think they're going to level off, or do you have no idea?
I will meet with ICAP in January, early February. They will have some sort of indication on a ballpark range of where it's going to be. I don't anticipate this again. I hope not, but they will be able to give us some sort of firmer grounds as far as what the increase, or if there will be an increase next year come February. And I will relay that to Joe at that time.
What was our increase last year, just out of curiosity?
I don't have that data in front of me,
2025.
but I know there was an increase. I think it was the high teens or low 20s.
I mean, I would think we would surely budget in an increase of
Yes,
some sort.
absolutely.
For sure.
Yes.
But
So what's going on in the insurance market is these natural disasters, these catastrophes are pounding the reinsurers. So the insurance companies that insure insurance companies. And so anytime you see a hurricane, anything worldwide, it affects your insurance because it's affecting those reinsurers. Many of them in the last 5 years have completely left the market. They're out of business, they've been acquired. So we're down to about 6 nationwide that reinsure these risks. So ICAP has very limited options on where they can go to buy their insurance, and it's skyrocketing. And Iowa is kind of considered in the insurance industry as kind of the Florida of the Midwest because of the amount of hailstorms that are going from Council Bluffs to Dubuque on an angle throughout our state. It's crazy. Yeah, and derechos, and
The smaller
You said
carriers,
worldwide, is it worldwide or nationwide? Then it affects it.
Worldwide,
Worldwide.
because these reinsurers play
The
in
whole
this whole global.
and the
insurance
smaller
market.
carriers are at the mercy of the reinsurance market. The reinsurance market will dictate the terms of the property as far as the percent, the deductible structure, everything. You know, they take a look at that entire book of business, you know, with a fine tooth comb, and they're at the mercy of them.
Well, this isn't shocking. I mean, to be honest with you. Motion authorizing the renewal of City of Lamar's property and casualty insurance with Iowa ICAP at the cost of $5,444,133. Excuse me, $544,133.
So that would be the $20,000
Yes,
deductible.
staying
Correct.
with Jason's recommendation, I agree with it.
Can I ask one question?
Nope.
At what point does it make sense to self-insure? Like just on the property, it's $409,000 premium. I mean, if a building burns down, we could build it for that.
That would be a discussion later, but I mean, currently you have about 53 properties that are under $165,000 in value. You have 35 that are under $100,000 in value. Is it a discussion you guys could have? Absolutely. But it's just, you know, a risk, how comfortable you are with that risk, and what the building is. You know,
Are you talking portions of it or the total?
Like if you just took the property value out and kept the casualty and all that, you know, it's $410,000 you save.
it's $170 million worth of buildings though. I mean, they had in Red Oak this year, that town was an ICAP member and got completely wiped out. I know we never think it's gonna happen, but it can. So you gotta, you know, the other side of that is, are you willing to risk that $170 million worth of property?
Before I did that, Brian, I would recommend increasing our deductible,
Yeah.
because then it's at least a per occurrence. Whereas if you take buildings off of the coverage and we just insure them, and we're responsible for every single one of those buildings if it were a hailstorm, or every single one of those roofs if it was a hailstorm that came through. And that might be a little more than what our budget can handle. So,
I was gonna say, would that affect our bond rating if we were at that much at risk? You know,
That I don't know, but
yeah.
it would affect my comfort level.
I'll second Clark's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
Just for, out of my own ignorance, I guess. At what point would FEMA come into play with any type of a disaster?
As far as,
Like a tornado.
Right,
and we have we have a cat loss of over 25 million.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
At what point do we get relief from FEMA like we did with the flooding this past year?
Well, they'd have to declare it a
Right.
disaster.
Cat losses are typically 25 million and above, typically.
And then the problem you have, Brad, is you don't get the money for maybe a year.
Sure.
You gotta have buildings, you gotta have equipment, you're gonna have to do something in the meantime to make it really tough.
Historically, FEMA has done a good job of reimbursing us, but it just takes
Takes time.
a year to 18 months. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Item D2, council meeting times. At the November 5 meeting, council tabled action regarding changing the time of council meetings to allow for public input. Chapter 1704 of the Lamar's Code of Ordinances sets the regular meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of each month, but the time of those meetings is fixed by council. And I believe we kind of asked for from citizen input. Anybody up here have any citizen input? I did not receive any, so,
I got a bit.
okay.
First, I'd go over the department head input.
Okay.
So I reached out to those folks, and Let's see, we had, and I'll give just a couple of the comments. A few of them said it wouldn't matter what time, it won't affect citizen involvement, but they'd be available because they can flex their time. So it really didn't affect them. A couple of them specifically had issues with doing it in the morning. A couple of them had issues with doing it at the evening, but they were kind of mixed between keeping it the same or the evening. I think less leaned toward the morning, although there were a couple that said that would be fine either way. Of the citizens, though, the people online that responded to my Facebook thing, it seemed like they were doing the after work ones. Mostly 5, but one even said 6, and it got me to thinking if we're going to do an after work, 6 would be better than 5, just personally. I think Dave's comments about other folks running, doing it at 6 o'clock would make it so most folks could run. So I guess the way I look at it is we can leave it as is. I don't know that anymore I'd probably be in favor of the morning, but I might be in favor of night. That's just me personally.
Have we ever tried I know we've talked about an evening meeting, have we ever tried one? To my knowledge, I don't think.
I think so.
Really?
Not in my time.
We did.
Well, it would have been like shortly after for some reason I can remember it early on from me being here. It was before I attended council meetings, so I didn't.
Yeah, the
really pay
only
attention.
ones that I can remember is, a few years we had our workshops at 4 in the afternoon.
Right.
For budget workshops. But that's hardly a good comparable for the normal everyday citizen to attend or not attend, so that's not a good one.
I think a couple of the issues that were brought up could be solved by doing just specific things like the budget workshop at a 2 o'clock or a noon and doing the meetings at night. So you wouldn't have a really long budget workshop meeting at night. There were a couple of things that they brought up that like there would be no security or staff here. So unless we made sure we had Officer Vanderbeck or someone here at night, the front isn't manned.
I would be here regardless of the time.
So if we went to a night thing, I would still want to do certain things like the budget workshop, not at 6 o'clock. I mean, that doesn't make much sense. But most of our meetings, you never know if it's going to go a half hour or an hour and a half. It's a little harder to make sure you can do it during the lunch hour. If we did it in the morning, it'd have to be 7:30 just to make sure we can all get about our day.